Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says the overturning of Roe v. Wade should be a wake-up call for Americans. We spoke with her yesterday in the studio. This was her first on-camera interview about the Supreme Court's monumental ruling. The decision triggered laws to prevent women in at least 7 states, 7 from getting legal abortions. Now, Clinton was here yesterday with her co-author to discuss their novel, State of Terror. It is co-published by Simon & Schuster, which is a division of our corporate owner, that's Paramount Global. She told us that this is a risky time for American democracy. Last week, the Roe v. Wade decision was made, and even though we had gotten a heads up, many people thought it was unthinkable. A lot of people are still processing, depending on your point of view. What did you think when you heard it?
Well, I was not surprised, because I think that was the goal of packing the court with justices who were on the record for many years of being against women's constitutional rights to make decisions about our own bodies. I was deeply sorry that it actually happened. But now that it has happened, I think everybody understands that this is not necessarily the only effort that we're going to see this court undertake to turn back the clock on civil rights and gay rights and women's rights beyond abortion. This is going to, I hope, wake up a lot of Americans. I don't care what political party or religion you are. The question is, who decides? Is the government going to be in your bedroom? Is the government going to be making these decisions? We are only at the beginning of this terrible travesty that this court has inflicted on us.
And what do you say to the supporters, though, who say, listen, we are protecting the rights of unborn children? They have rights, too. What do you say to that? You know, that seems to be the core argument.
I say that, you know, that is predominantly a belief rooted in religion, which I respect. And that's why, in a pluralistic democracy like ours, the court in Roe v. Wade said the government is not going to make this decision. If it is your personal belief, based on whatever, that there is no legitimate basis for abortion, even if you're in the hospital and you're bleeding out, even if you're told that you have cancer and chemotherapy is necessary and therefore an abortion is necessary, no matter what, you get to make that decision. I might not agree with it, but you get to make that decision. But you and those who support your particular point of view cannot dictate that decision to every other woman. And, you know, for many years, the abortion rate was going down. We were seeing, I think, greater responsibility, especially with the use of contraception. So what is their ultimate goal here if they begin to chip away at all of these rights? It truly is to erase the progress that women have made from the last 150 years.
You know, a couple of the senators have said that they were misled by the justices. Does this say to you that we need to change the confirmation hearing process?
Well, I think they were misled in part because they wanted to be misled. They had...
You think they knew that this was going to happen?
They either knew or they were blind to what the history of the people before them. Anyone who is surprised by this is not paying attention. So these people were selected for this purpose. And it was a 50-year campaign. And you've got to give the other side, you know, lots of points for their relentlessness, their total commitment to getting what they want done, regardless of who's hurt by it and regardless of who's stripped of rights.
Is this a time for the Democrats to take on the filibuster, do you think?
Well, I've been saying for quite some time, I think the filibuster should be eliminated at the very least for constitutional questions like voting rights, like a woman's, constitutional rights to make decisions about her own body. So if you can't lift it completely, lift it for those two things that have huge consequences for our country.
And last question. You're a former First Lady, former Secretary of State, former Senator. Do you miss the day-to-day of politics? Is there any scenario in your brain that you would think, I want to get back in?
No, but I miss it. I miss it.
There's no scenario in 2024 that you would even remotely consider.
I can't imagine it. I really can't. But
It's not a no.
Well, but what I can imagine is staying as active and outspoken as I can, because I think our country is really on the precipice scale. I think that we are looking at not only the erosion of these rights, the throwing the door open to unfettered, unregulated gun access, but we're also looking at dismantling the federal government, how it protects our air and our water and everything else that goes along with it.
Do you think our democracy is at stake? We're looking at the January 6th hearings.
I do.
You think the democracy is at stake?
I do.
As we sit here today.
I do.
Will anything come of these hearings? People say, some say it's a waste of time.
I think these hearings have been incredibly powerful. I understand a lot of people pay no attention, but history pays attention. I hope the Justice Department is paying attention. I hope in these midterm elections, candidates and the Democratic Party pay attention, because you cannot let those who attacked our Capitol and those who urged them on to do so act with impunity. That's what happens in dictatorships and authoritarian regimes. So I think it's important that people recognize, if there were ever a time to vote, and to vote literally for your rights and our future, it's this midterm.
Yeah, I mean, she had a lot to say. She was really very candid and very open. And I like what she said, that history pays attention.
Right. Yeah.
Because, people can say no one's paying attention to these hearings, but the first hearing, 20 million people watched. People are tuning in. People want to know exactly what happened. So we will see. Today's going to be a very big day.
I'm so glad she ended with reference to voting in this country, because when it comes to democracies, our participation rate is abysmal relative to other countries around the world.
Yet and still people complain, though.
People complain. 80 million people don't vote. And when you see Hillary Clinton on television, what I think about is all the what-ifs from 2016. What could have been different? It was a small number of people that swung the election. She won the popular vote. If people had gone to the polls, 3 Supreme Court justices that had been appointed by Donald Trump might have been appointed by her. We don't have this decision today.
Exactly
You're right about
right.
that.
Yeah, she's spot on. She said we're turning back the clock.